Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports We Build podcast. My name is Nolan, and I'm here with my friend Morgan. This is the show where we talk about how we build youth and school sports systems where kids grow, coaches lead well, parents trust the process, and organizations communicate better. This is episode 2, and I'm glad that we're here. Morgan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been a busy week, and we are recording this a day later than we wanted to, but we're here, and I'm glad to be here.
Me too.
I see you've been making your podcast rounds. How do you feel about those interviews?
Mostly great. I love chatting with other people hosting podcasts. It's always really great to have conversations and learn more about what they're working on and doing. And hopefully it gives me a little practice being on podcast.
Well, that's good. I mean, I like hearing from you and hearing your perspective on the questions that they're asking you. So I'm glad that you are making those rounds and hopefully other people are seeing those clips. If you're not seeing them, make sure that you comment so that way we can get those clips to you.
Sure.
But we wanted to talk about, I said, hey, I have an idea for what we should talk about today. And you said, sure, let me get out a notebook and a pen, and I'm going to take down a bunch of notes. So I'm well prepared for what we're going to discuss today. And I wanted to talk about some things that you and I are building, but we're building 2 separate things.
Yes.
But they're both happening, I think, this fall, right? Can you I want to tell you what I'm building, but I want you to go first. I want to hear.
No.
You want me to go first?
Nolan, tell me about what you're building.
What I'm building. Yeah. So our kids, where we live, we don't have the greatest rec programs. And it's not because of how they're ran. We have great people who are running some of the rec programs here. So where I live, we have a rec baseball, but it's not Little League. So it's not commissioned by the Little League or, we're not putting together teams in a way to where we could go compete at the district levels and try to make a team can make it to the Little League World Series. So where we live, that doesn't exist. Now, about an hour from where we live, that exists. And there are parts of Illinois that still have Little League, but that's just one. We do offer a YMCA basketball league where we are, but that has largely been compromised by a school-based travel basketball system to where each school now offers basketball and they do tryouts down through 4th or 3rd grade, which is it's
Wow.
K through 5 for YMCA basketball. And so that is kind of a point of confusion. I don't know if it's tension here where we are, but we don't have anything fall wise because our schools don't have soccer. So our YMCA will offer a soccer league, but it doesn't support or lead to anything long term to where kids can stay involved in it unless they travel out of town. So what has ended up happening where we are is almost all the softball is independently ran in a travel sort of sense. So there's tryouts, everybody gets involved after the age of 8 or 9 in some sort of travel format. Same with baseball. We have rec baseball. But once you reach a certain age, more folks like myself have independently organized and created clubs. And there's a lot of kids just traveling out of town to some of the larger metropolitan areas around us. So that way they can get what they think is necessary for sport. And so I decided, what can we do this fall? Because we don't have a fall baseball offering. There's football, but there's no flag football in the fall. Flag football is done in the spring through the YMCA. And then starting in 4th grade, you could do tackle football, which is a whole nother thing. But we wanted to do a banana ball type thing. Have you heard of the Savannah Bananas?
Been to a game?
You've been to a game where?
They came to Charlotte last summer. I believe it was in the summertime.
Okay.
Yeah. Bank of America Stadium. They sold it out, I want to say 3 full nights.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. It was awesome.
I'm over
really fun.
on the lottery. I haven't gotten picked yet. Yeah. So had a chance to go. When'd you go?
Yeah. So it was probably about a year ago.
Okay. I could have gone Friday. They're here in Illinois at Wrigley. But it was a friend of mine selling tickets. Our oldest was just getting home from summer camp that afternoon. And then we would have had
Yeah.
to drive 2.5 hours to Wrigley Field or drive up, take the public transit, which I don't mind the public transit in Chicago. Actually, it's pretty easy to navigate. But yeah, so we decided to build something. And if you know anything about like what I've already, like you do, but for those listening, know about like what I've been building over at Hey Coach, I kind of did it backwards. I built a platform and then demoed it and like started to use it and then tried to sell it. Where in the startup space, the rule of thumb or like just the wisdom would suggest if you have a really good idea, you demo the idea or like sell the idea. And if you get a lot of good feedback on the idea itself or like a waiting list, then go ahead and build the thing. So that's kind of where we started. So we created this thing called the Every Inning League based off of the banana ball rules. So Savannah Bananas, and this is something that is tough for anybody who's trying to create anything. You probably have seen a Savannah Bananas or a banana ball type tournament. None of them, there's been one banana ball tournament like sanctioned by the Savannah Bananas, and they were largely disappointed by how it turned out because it wasn't ran by them. They just gave permission to somebody to do it. But then they've had a number of other people, kind of like myself, who are like, hey, we're going to do Banana Ball League. Well, it's kind of trademarked, and they don't want to be associated with people who are going to do something not well or offer a poor...
Not up to their standard. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, they send out cease and desist letters. And we don't want to be a part of that. So, but we like the idea of karaoke, like in the middle of a baseball game, dance-offs.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Sweet Caroline. Yeah, you?
No Diggity.
Like, as a karaoke song? Okay. I also say I'm like
maybe some Shania Twain. It depends. Depends on the vibe.
I do feel like a woman.
We'll get the bar going. Or baseball game.
But yeah, like the Sweet Caroline is, that's a good crowd pleaser.
Yeah. Everybody knows the words. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, they'll sing along.
But no diggity. I might have to add that to the list, actually. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're having this conversation, because I need your ideas on what we need to do. So we kind of set it up to where, the scoring is similar. Like if you score 5 runs and the other team scores 3, you only get 1 point. So you win that inning, right? So every inning, like every inning matters. We want to do it in a way to where fun stuff, like somebody was wearing a cape, or it's a co-ed league, 9 through 12-year-olds. We're going to use a pitching type machine that actually flings the ball at 40 miles an hour. So that way we don't have to worry about a lot of walks. The machine is inconsistent enough that if you were really patient, you could probably walk, because it's not going to give you right down the middle every single time.
Yeah.
But we wanted to offer something that was not super competitive, but involved all of these fun things and hopefully get some crowd dynamics in there. Like if a fan caught a foul ball, that person's out, or if somebody's wearing the pink tutu and that person catches the ball, no matter how many outs there are, the inning's over, or the superhero cape. But that's what we did. We decided to, all right, I'm not going to start building this league until we have enough signed up. So I put out a Google form and started sharing it on social media. And if we were to do 4, 5, or 6 teams at 10 kids per team, we would need at least 55 to 60 people sign up via the interest form. So we get their emails and everything. And we had 60 people sign up. So that was my first step into building this thing. And then I was like, all right, well, if we can get field space, then we'll continue forward. And sure enough, I was able to get field space for nothing.
Yeah.
And I've reluctantly been moving along in this, building this solution, but it's been received well. A lot of people are like, hey, what are we doing? So that is what we're building. Based on your experience with Savannah Banana games, again, I haven't been to one. And I want to hear more about what you're building with your league, but I really wanted to know from you what ideas you have for a league for 9 through 12-year-olds. We've got karaoke, we've got dance, we've got some of those other things going on.
I think the funniest things were it's always when the crowd's involved, right? So the players would like go into the crowd and sing and perform their dance. So that's always fun. Or have you heard of what are they? They're essentially man cheerleaders.
Really?
Yeah. They wear like little crop top outfits, but they all look like offensive linemen. Like I think that's the vibe they're going for. It's really fun. Not that you could really replicate that in your league per se. But even like some races, if like other siblings are there watching the game, like get
Oh,
them involved, maybe
races. Yeah,
some
yeah,
like
yeah.
run the bases or, first one to the outfield fence. You could do like an egg toss, like just incorporate fun games.
Games in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That get the crowd and siblings. Siblings, I feel like there's always a few siblings in tow that are causing a ruckus for their parents at the game that they got to participate in something would be one, great for the parent, but two, give them something to do.
It's a good word, ruckus.
Yeah, my kids cause a lot of ruckus. That's why I know. Easily top of mind for me,
We didn't hear them just a second ago. That wasn't that.
I'm sure. Because then they're not getting their yogurt with M&Ms if they're being too loud.
That's funny. No, I like that. I mean, the karaoke piece where it's like a game break. So we can all just like sing along karaoke instead of like waiting for the 7th inning stretch or whatever. We're talking about doing 5-inning games at 75 minutes long. So that way things keep moving. But like the pink tutu idea, I had heard that from somebody who had gone to a banana ball, softball sort of tournament. So like they just did it for softball and kind of translated some of the rules. So one girl from each team rotated who got to wear the tutu.
Yeah.
Defense. Yeah. And so, that one girl caught a pop fly or a line drive or whatever that just automatically ended the inning. We talked about doing like an adult opposite handed at.
That'd be tough.
It would be tough. But here's
Whenever
the thing.
I try to teach a left-hander like hitting at volleyball, I'm always like, hold on a sec. Very awkward.
Yeah, we'd have some adults who would just blast somebody if they got to swing normal handed. So anyways,
Well, for sure. Yeah.
It'll be comical. The approach though, I think we talked about, the approach that I think is most relevant to why you and I are doing this, right? Because like, okay, we're putting this together. Yes, you and I could think through all these ideas, and I actually have a playbook that we've been putting together, but like thinking through and adding that, like we didn't even think about side games like that, races or stuff. So that's really good. But we're doing a clinic approach. So if we have 50 kids for 5 teams, we're only going to have the same 6 coaches or whatever coach all 50 kids. So you have 5 teams, but the same 6 coaches coach every game. Doesn't matter which team is playing which. And we did that because, and this is a lot of like why you started what you started. There are just some adults who just don't get it.
There's a lot of adults who don't get it, but yeah.
Where they would, like, we had coaches reach out to us like, hey, can we just bring our own team? And I'm like, no, because the point of this is not to win. The point of this is to develop, so our practices are going to have a lot of fundamental skills built in, but we're also going to practice like coordinated dances. And we're going to teach some of the karaoke songs that when you get to the game, I'm going to have some fun with this, but like basically putting together a script of how the game is supposed to go outside of the actual gameplay, right? But if we have the same 6 coaches, so like 3 on each side, and we can rotate based on which teams are playing or whatever, the emphasis will be on fundamentals. The emphasis will be on, is everybody involved? Are people engaged? And like, we don't do that in other sports.
It's hard. I think that that's what we want we want all of everybody's experience in sports to be, but it's not easy to do. It has to be intentional. Like, it's great. The kids are going to have so much fun while obviously still learning baseball. And that's always the goal.
That is,
I think the parents are going to have fun. You're going to have fun.
I think so.
Just for you to just go have fun.
Yeah, it really is. It's for me to take my dancing from the aisles of the grocery store to a
Mm-hmm.
place. I won't dance at a wedding. I don't know why, but I'll dance in public. Maybe it's just a cultural pressure and the expectation that I'm supposed to be dancing at a wedding reception. Then I'm like, you're not my dad. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm. But where you're not supposed to be dancing, typically, you're all over
Right.
that.
100% sign me up. Maybe I'm just
Yeah,
contrarian. This is why you and I get along so well.
maybe.
But like, what do you think about that type of, because not, I know, I mean, I coach travel, I own a travel. Sometimes we run into coach. Like I tend to schedule games with coaches where we have an agreement. Like we are here for, like, both of us want to win. We're both going to coach to win, but we're not going to coach to win at the detriment of our kids, right? We're not
Right. You're
going
there
to.
to compete, but
Yes.
winning is not the most important outcome. Right.
Yeah. So it's, for me, that's part of it. Like I don't get boxed in by having 100% control over my schedule. I don't have to worry about competing with some jerk of a coach. Now, until I get to tournaments, and man, we participated in a tournament this last year where a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I've coached against these guys." He used more colorful language, but they lived up to every bit of that colorful language word that he used to describe them, because they complained about something at length with the umpire almost every inning.
What grade is this? What age?
It was 9-year-olds. 9-year-olds. So again, I didn't get to pick whether we played them or not. We signed up for this tournament, but even then, like, the kids like the tournaments, and I think a lot of adults like the tournaments. I can't stand the tournaments because it's, again, but again, you can't control everything for kids, and we're part of the process is teaching kids how to deal with different scenarios that are outside of
Yeah,
control.
you're right. You can only control what you can control. That's a good lesson for the kids. They're going to encounter tough situations and such in their life where people are operating in a way that's not, within our own values or how we want sportsmanship and such. So, yeah, it's not always going to be perfect. And I think that those are good coaching opportunities also.
Yeah. What do you think
But I
about
think
that?
this league will be what a fun thing, especially that if there's not a lot of other options for kids in your area, unless they want to be more serious and are willing to travel. I'm not surprised you got so many signups and have so much interest because there's clearly a need.
The
And what a
next
fun
challenge
thing.
that we had in that was, how much do we charge?
Yeah.
Because like, we want to get sponsorships, and we already have one sponsor that will sponsor a team, and we are going to do some more outreach because we think we can get the local businesses to rally around this, because
Sure.
each local business then will get their own customized jersey. It's associated with their business. So like, we're tossing around names like the Baum Auto Group Lowriders, the Monocle's Pizza Zazas, and the
Yeah.
Dairy Queen Blizzards, and
Sure.
the Jimmy John's Freaks, stuff like that. The Kirby Food Baggers, the First National Bank Rich Uncles, ideas that we're throwing around, and then letting representatives from each business throw out the first pitch,
Well,
or get an at bat and in the game. And so, that's all of this, everything that we're saying right now informally just goes into the system that I'm trying to build, that hopefully, as we figure it out, we can replicate it for other people. But we're going to run into the same issue of, if we pull this off, the every inning league, do we put this together in a packaged system that we can then offer to other people, like you listening? But then, like, we won't be able to police whether or not you do it well.
right.
What do you think about that approach for coaching? Like the camp-like approach, but for a whole league, to where the same coaches coach every single kid. So that way every single coach is aligned. Have you seen that anywhere else? And if not, like, what are your thoughts, or how would you approach that?
I don't think I have seen that before. It's interesting. I think it's great, especially at this level, because different coaches are going to have different strengths or probably connect with different players. So you're saying all 6 coaches show up to every single game
Yeah.
and you like split them 3-3 per team. And then the next time I think that I think it's great for the kids from that perspective. I think as a coach, the challenge would be, it's like the beginning of school, like the first couple months of school are like a little chaotic because you're still like learning the classroom rules and the routines and such. And so I think even anytime you take over a new team, you're also, as a coach, trying to get everybody on the same page and learn everybody's names, make relationships with them. So from that aspect, if it's less time with a specific team, you might need to think about how if everybody's following the same structure and plan, then I guess whoever's leading it, it wouldn't matter, right? The kids are going to have like a rhythm of understanding what's going on, regardless of who their coach is.
Yeah, everything would be
But
planned out.
yeah, yeah,
And it's short. I think this is the biggest thing. We have to thread a needle for post junior high baseball season, the end of the junior football, like tackle league
yeah,
thing, and then before some of the other winter sports start. So it's basically 4 weeks from September 21st to October
hmm
24th, where it's 2 practices a week. So you're going to have 8 practices and then 4 days of games, but it's 75 minutes per game. You're looking at like a 4-hour commitment once every Saturday
yeah,
for 4 weeks. And then, hour and a half one night, hour and a half another night for practice. But it's only 4 weeks. And we were still even toying around with the idea,
yeah.
like, is 4 games too much? Is 4 weeks and 4 games too much? Or should we cut it back given?
I feel like 4 weeks. I mean, if that's like long enough to take, the kids are going to have enough reps to hopefully improve or practice those things at home with their friends or family. But then also, it's not so long because I think it's a little bit more of a commitment on the coaching side and family side for the longer games. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I think
worry
that feels
about,
right.
whether or not, it's, I could see why they do the tournaments or like a one-off, versus, you have to
I
coordinate.
would more think about like, can the kids even stay focused? Because I don't even know if I could stay focused for 75 minutes. Are they
It's super fast.
75?
Like for an 8U
I feel like
baseball
my
game,
kids play.
we do 60-minute time limit for 8U around here.
Yeah, right. Same.
So 75
Everything's
minutes, hopefully. And then we'll do run limit per inning, but hopefully there's just a lot of action every single inning. So like
right.
you're always chasing the ball around the field and then you're breaking for all these, constantly interrupting the flow of the game for all of this fun stuff.
hmm Yeah, I will be interested to see how the kids can stay on track.
Engaged. Yeah.
But maybe actually, I mean, I always think that I wish my kids had more recess time, even if it was like a few more like 15-minute breaks during the day, because they need I can't sit at my desk all day and without getting up to at least like get some fresh air or drink or what. So like a break in between innings with something entertaining and fun might actually be a really great environment for them to like reset and then refocus on the next thing.
Yeah.
Have some fun. It'll be good. It'll be a great study, a test. See what
So
works.
we'll see.
Take it from there.
But that's enough
Yeah.
about what I'm dealing with. I feel like I'm at a good spot. I want to know because you were telling me before we pressed record that some of the challenges you thought you were going to have to face, you might not have to face just because of participation numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to share, because you've told me all this already, but like for those who haven't heard it yet, like let's hear what you're wrestling with, like
Yeah.
what challenges are ahead of you. And then let's diagnose it and see if we could prescribe anything that could be helpful.
Sure. I think so. I just took over, as you know this, as president of a local league. And the current sport for the fall will be baseball that the league is sponsoring that we do. And it's an entirely brand new. So I'm new. I am the whole board. There is not anybody else on the board as of now.
So there's
We have,
openings. Do I have to live there?
I don't know.
I want to be on the board.
Let me think about that.
I'll
Maybe. I
lobby.
need
I'll
great
lobby to be
people.
on the board.
I, yeah, I've asked a couple friends that have kids in our school in the neighborhood to see, like if they're interested. But I get it. This is part of the problem that we're finding. It's a heavy lift. like especially now, taking over this league where the woman who ran it before is also our PTO president. So she has a lot on her plate. She was exceptionally organized and did a phenomenal job. But it's really just like keeping the league running, like you're just keeping your head above water. And the new athletic directors, which are that we have two for baseball this year that are kind of like operationally running this league day to day, are also new. And so there's been a lot of like, hey, we won't know how many people are signed up for 12U from the other leagues because we have a team, but there's not going to be enough from the rest of the organizations that we partner with to run the league. So then we're going to move them to the Mooresville League. And it's just been a lot of coordination and everything's taking me significantly longer because I've never done this before. And there's not an SOP or process or structure in place yet for me to go find this information. Obviously, the previous president is like, she answers every single message super quickly. She's phenomenal and very supportive. But I think we're seeing this a lot as all of these organizations are run on volunteers and without structure and process in place. Every time a new person steps in, and it's a steep learning curve. And so what I'm hoping to do and work out with as I take over this league is really operationally, like, create operational efficiency, create process and structure and systems so that eventually when someone else steps in, they will be in a really great place and not have to, from scratch figure out one, how to just operate the league. But two, I think once those systems and structure are in place, then you get to focus on the things that I really want to do, which is why I really wanted to be, take volunteer and be a part of this, which is impact the kids' experience, the quality of the coaching, the environment that the kids are playing and learning in, the work that really matters to me. Like I'm happy to do the schedule and registration and uniform ordering and all those things because that's what needs to get done for the league to operate. But that's not the work that I want to do. I want to impact it in a more positive way directly with the kids. And so, but I think that this isn't unique for me. I think that every organization is feeling this where there's a lot of burnout, there's a lot of turnover, coaches, volunteers, boards, and it's a big lift. I have a lot of other things going on also. I know other people do too. So
This isn't your full-time
it's fine.
job? Volunteer
Unfortunately,
league
no.
president isn't your
Yeah, I
full-time job?
wish. No.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple different things there, that there are solution providers who are really trying to help with that. Platforms that are geared towards the operations and just streamlining that for the professional adult like yourself who's stepping into a situation where there is no system.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think you and I have discussed is that's not enough. It would be helpful to have something like, man, if there was a one-stop shop for uniforms, scheduling, and coordinating with all of these adults, that would be super helpful. And there's solution providers who are trying to solve that. But what I find most intriguing by what you were telling me regarding how you are approaching this operating system is not necessarily just like a platform for people to operate from, but a way of doing things that help actually, because I value the intentionality behind sports, and you bring a perspective of your professional background organizationally in hiring and firing and finding the right candidates for roles. And I thought that was super interesting. Can you tell, I want you to go, kind of re-explain it for those listening, what's driving how you are putting this together?
Yeah. In my professional life, I work in HR and people function. And so I've always, the best way that I know how to impact a business to be successful and what I'm good at is getting the right people in the right seats and the right time. And then ensuring that they're having a great experience while they're there. And so I think a lot of youth sports organizations are struggling with that, myself included now as I'm taking this over. There's just not a lot of people to operate these leagues, and it's a big lift, right? So I want my plan and what I'm doing now and how I hope to impact this positively is that I have to build this structure and operating system for this league. So my hope is that then I can create that's something that can be replicated for others. And it's not to me, like how you order uniforms or how you're scheduling games is like very tactical things. I'm more thinking about from a culture, right? So in the people function of any business, that we're responsible for that culture. Everybody's responsible for the culture, but like we're going to set the tone. And so a board to me are the leaders of, like they're the ones operating a league or making a decision, and they should be setting the culture and intention of how this league is going to conduct themselves. And so from an HR lens, putting again, and I've told you, like I'm not a policy HR gal, more of a like I want to be a great business partner to my CEO and CFO, that they understand that the people are the most important resource of an organization, but I'm not putting up barriers for them to get the business needs met, right? I want to be like a great team player and how we're working together. And similarly, in this leagues, and it's not just going to be like building policies that hold people accountable because that's just a piece of paper, but how do you create an environment and create communication streams and make things easier for the coaches because the board's handling things in a better way, that you have more people who want to volunteer, you have more professionals who maybe can volunteer because, again, a lot of the other things are going to be taken care of for them. The expectations are very clear of how we're going to conduct ourselves. I want to coach in this league. If I want my kid to play in this league, I kind of know what I'm getting into. Fs and umps will want to be a part of these leagues because they know that there's going to be a different level of expectation of how people are, again, going to behave and conduct themselves. And so I think that culture gets built, again, from the leaders of the organization. In order to do that, you have to get the right leaders in place. And then you have to put the process and structure behind that for them to be able to then execute on it beyond just the tactical day to day of keeping your head above water by ordering uniforms and scheduling and all the other things that have to go on. So, in my mind, that's how I think about it as I'm taking this over, and how I think a lot of youth sports leagues could benefit from having a more structured process so that they're not one off deal. Like I talked about this with, like, we had a difficult coach. Um, without like getting too much into it, like if this coach wanted to come back again and coach next year, after all the things that had happened the last 2 years, this whole board just changed over. So like, there's not any documentation anywhere of what has happened in the past. There's no historical financials for me to go use as data to make decisions in the future. Like very simple business things for how I would think about operating and or holding people accountable, or when someone else wants to come back to participate and the answer is going to be no, well, like here's exactly why, and here's the policy that we've signed, and this is the values that we're operating by, and this is the evidence that this isn't how you've operated in the past. So no, like you don't get to come back this year. Anyways, it was a long-winded answer per
Who's
usual.
who's influencing how you're building this? Because it sounds like there's a foundation that you're trying to lay for which you can add on the other stuff, as opposed to, solving the logistics first. You're trying to create a culture or like a standard by which there's a mutual understanding by which we all operate
Mm-hmm.
inside this league. So who are some of is there anybody that you're reading, listening to? Because you produce a lot of stuff. Like, so there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I get this from Morgan. I follow Positive Play Project, right? Like you're influencing people, but who is influencing you? Like who are some of the folks that you learn from and glean from?
And I follow a lot of different content creators, but I also read a lot of books, both fun books and business books. Patrick Lencioni is one of my favorite leadership business authors. Kim Scott I've got her book, Radical Candor is my fully bought in on how you deliver and conduct yourself as a leader
You've
of
read that book
people.
like 10 times based on your candor.
Challenge directly, but care deeply. And you can't challenge directly until you've built the rapport of caring deeply.
Challenge directly, care deeply. That's from Radical Candor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. No, I know the book you're talking about. I just haven't read it. I just
So
saying that.
Tim Scott used to operate Apple University. And so I really learned all of this when I worked for Apple. I was there for a little over 5 years. And this is 100% their culture is how you conduct. And feedback there is like the first thing you learn and how it's part of your review. Like it's very expected that you give and receive feedback well. Anyways, so I have that in.
No, we take, yeah, no, yeah, no, you are touching on something that I don't know. And this is part of like what drives me in sports is majority of business leaders or high level position holders, C-suite
Mhm.
individuals played competitive sports growing up, at least through high school. Not all of them played in college, but
Especially the women in high position powers.
they played
The
sports.
percentage is even higher.
And to challenge directly and care deeply, I think is super important because we talk about this in parenting. I was just having this conversation with somebody who played at Butler University. His dad coached him, and he pointed to a lot of challenging times in their relationship growing up. And I asked, okay, so how are you navigating that with your children? He's got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. And he says, yeah, my 7-year-old is starting to get into it. My wife just signed him up for training for basketball. So like it's becoming more real.
Mhm.
And, like, okay, so how are you navigating that? And we got to the point to where he has to work through his experience of being coached and learning how to do things. So this is, I think, is informing what you're kind of having to deal with the league is you have people who are only regurgitating or mimicking what they grew up with, unless they made a concerted
Right.
effort and have had the education that you've had to go, no, there's a different way of doing things. Or like for myself, I didn't like my parents, they were supportive to a point, but like I didn't grow up in a super like affluent situation or a well like finance situation. So the support was severely lacking for me to accomplish much in sports. And I still managed to go and play in college and had a legitimate shot of becoming a professional, even though that dream never materialized for me. I'm able to navigate my kids' sports for them through their lens and the person that they're becoming. And it's not about me. And it's not about my kids. Like I want them to see sport as something that challenges them to become the best version of themselves that they could be, which is
Mhm.
you can't be challenged directly or even care deeply if you're so insecure and you're always worried about yourself. So like I was talking about this with this guy. I was like, parenting research would tell you that having a high standard or expectation of your children is 100% okay, as long as it's equally matched by a high level of support, which I think touches on what you just said. So that's really good.
It's
Who else?
like the ultimate leadership, right? Like every team, like think about the best leader coach you've ever played for or boss you've ever worked for. I can almost guarantee that that person, because you think of them, like knew knew you as a human more than just a player or an employee, cared about you, but also challenged you to, or like, encouraged you and held you to a high standard to be better than when you first got there. Leave it better than you found it. That is my motto I try to leave my life by. And it's not easy. I think that leadership muscle takes time to learn how to do that, especially in an environment in like a corporate setting where you also have a lot of expectations and deadlines and metrics to meet. Like how do you get the best out of your team? But the best leaders are not necessarily the best individual contributors. We see that in corporate also all the time. Just because you're an exceptional salesman or recruiter, whatever you're doing, does not mean that then you will make a great people leader. Being a leader of people is being able to get the results through others, which is a completely different skill, and being able to have that relationships and rapport to be able to do that. And so for these coaches or for the leaders of boards, it's the same thing. It's a leadership skill to be able to to communicate effectively with the coaches of what the expectation will be for them, for the coaches to be able to, and then it trickles down, right? Them to lead their teams in a way that they're getting results through their team by doing it high care and challenging directly. Yeah.
No, that's good. Are you working off of any existing framework? You mentioned something that you haven't to create. Are you creating something like brand new that you've never seen before? Or are you working off of or influenced by or inspired by some sort of framework somewhere that you've discovered as you're trying to figure out what to do?
I think mostly it's kind of coming from scratch, but it is informed by, I've been in the professional world for, I'm going to say how many years, 'cause that would give it away, but a very long time. Yeah. I've done this a few times with a few different organizations, uh, not on the youth sports side, but to me, it's the same. We're a not for profit organization. And now I'm leading this organization. Any startup or smaller business is in a similar space typically, right? Things are moving quickly, they're growing. You're trying to figure out how do you scale this. And so I've always believed the best way to scale a business efficiently is to put the right structure in place so that as things grow, you're not adding headcount unnecessarily or buying unnecessarily tools or spending things to try to shift things together. I think it's the same in a youth sports world where you have to figure out, what the goal, like, where's this organization going? What's the goal? And so how do we put this in place now so that as the next board comes in or more professional, their people want to join or share their interest or ideas, they can without having to build it. So what's influencing me is again, I do this for a living for so long that I think that that's mostly like these are the trainings that I would teach an organization on how to hire, how to performance manage a team member, how to onboard somebody effectively to get them up to speed as fast as possible, how to have tough conversations with your team members and things aren't going well. All this is what I do typically in my everyday life. So just using my skills.
I asked that because there's going to be people that hear this or are already following you that they're like, I don't have time to wait for Morgan to create it. So I got to get moving now and then maybe ask Morgan questions along the way. So that's kind of why I ask if that, because you can have people like
Going as
yourself.
fast as I can here.
And there's people who are like,
Fast as I can.
we got to go. I know that you shared about the person who jumped in or like, I went volunteer just because of what you did. And it's that thing we touched about in week one. Like sometimes you just feel like the burden and responsibility has to fall to somebody and you feel like you're the one who has to do it. So you just go do it. And sometimes you figure it out on the way and you're kind of doing that right now. I'm trying to do it right now. And there's a lot of people out there who haven't started because they don't have that.
Yeah.
And I just want to
For all the
encourage
people who are jumping in and putting their hand up and trying to be a part of it and want to influence positively, don't have a full operating system yet to go by. The first thing I would do is get really clear about what your values are as an organization, what's most important to you, what is the mission, and every decision that you make then should be filtered through those. Like when so and so sit in the bench, and if I put them in, there's a good chance we end up losing this game. Well, like, what are let's get clear on how we want to be, how we're going to do, how we conduct ourselves as an organization, what's most important to us, and then use that as your filter for making decisions.
that's really good. I was trying
That's
to
where I would
think
start.
of, there you go. I think there's tools out there like baseline.is, core brand values generator. I could try and think of things that could translate because I don't know if there's like a league value generator. Like if you haven't developed values before or how to navigate where your organization goes, I might be a heavy lift for some folks, but I would
Yeah.
100% agree. Like what are like the top three things that we want to stand on and we want to repeat, and convey to those who are involved. I think that's a
I mean, I've
good
done
starting
that. This
spot.
is what I did this for Positive Play Project, as it was starting to like gain some traction, I pretty quickly developed those for myself. And because I just can, it's easy to see like as more opportunities become available, or like, how do you ensure that the decisions you're making for me for Positive Play Project are aligned with why I originally started? Like, it's easy to get caught up in, the new cool thing or whatever's happening. And I really want to stay true to what my mission and what my values are with that. And so I have them on my pinned. Anytime I'm thinking about something or like, I go straight back to that, and I use that as my guide. Like, this is not aligned with that, then it's probably not the right decision.
No, it's good. For those who are interested in, we're talking about core values. I did find something here, ramp.com/core-values.generator. Core values play a critical role in creating a strong organizational culture. They help to align employees with the company's mission and vision, foster teamwork, and promote a sense of belonging within the organization. These values also serve as a guide for decision making, ensuring that all actions are in line with the organization's beliefs and principles. And I think
It's
that's
like I wrote it.
it's like you wrote it. And I think for anybody if you're stepping into this spot, figuring out what those are, because it's going to be unique to your context.
Sure.
Like, it sounds like you can create something that goes, yep, these are the same values, because they're just going to be slightly different, or just verbiage that's going to land differently with the people that you're involved.
I say this in my recruiting world. Like, there is no right or wrong with core values or how you operate as an employee, but there is a great fit for you on both sides. And so just because you might not be a great fit at this organization doesn't mean you're operating the wrong way. It just means we need to find you. It's like matchmaking. I need to find you the right organization that's going to allow you to be successful and that you're going to enjoy working in. And so to your point, like, yeah, there's no right or wrong core values, and what's most important to your league could be different than what's most important to the next league and how you word that. But yeah, it for sure is going to take it. I would encourage it to be like like an exercise where there's a lot of like thought that goes into it and discussion with the rest of the people that are making the decision.
I'm glad that you mentioned all that, because we're kind of like at our unspecified. We haven't set up the value for how we want to guide episode length, but you did mention right and wrong. And there's some things that are outstanding from last week that we need to discuss, since, that was like an ideal segue. New York state of mind. So, okay.
Can you see it? Here we go.
Yeah. We had 19 people vote. So thank you to everybody.
Sample size.
And for all those who see this clip and
are going to see it,
know that, like, hey, you messaged me and said, yeah, Chicago pizza is the best, but you didn't vote on the Instagram post. I lost. So thankfully, you don't believe that there's no right or wrong here.
That's not true.
We can still be on the same team.
It was abundantly clear.
So
who won that?
If you missed last week's clip, you could find it somewhere on our whatever we voted on: New York pizza, New York style pizza, Chicago style pizza. And Morgan, your friends rallied to you, and you had like 13 people vote for New York style pizza, and then we had 6 people vote for Chicago style pizza.
I encouraged people to vote.
Morgan sent multiple text messages to everybody in her contact list with the Instagram link, and I was like, you know what? You lobbied to win. So I didn't do enough campaigning on behalf of Chicago style pizza, so it's my bad.
Lesson learned.
It is a lesson learned. Now, the other thing that we did talk about that you were unfortunate enough you have until today haven't been able to really experience. So I sent you something.
You did.
But I won't tell you what I sent. But I will say, I mentioned Casey's General Store as like God's gift to the Midwest, but it hasn't made its way to North Carolina. Would you like to try this? Okay, here you go. Look at that. Casey's General Store in North Carolina.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I wish that you could experience their pizza and their breakfast pizza. But, this is our unashamed way of tagging Casey's in this and hoping that they share because Casey's is the truth. So New York style pizza might be the truth, but Casey's General Store
I'll give you.
definitely beats
I'll give you
Buc-ee's.
Casey's.
Casey's beats Buc-ee's.
I mean, honestly, we don't even have a Buc-ee's that close to here.
So yeah.
We don't really have any great general store that's worth mentioning per se. So
Yeah,
you win
Casey's
that one for
has
sure.
everything. So I'm glad that we can agree on something.
Thanks for sharing it with me.
You're welcome. I'm glad that you could participate.
Me too.
Is there any parting thoughts from our time today?
I don't think so. But if you are in a situation, like if you're in a similar boat and you want to chat or need some want to bounce ideas, message us.
Yeah, no, we had some people reach out last time that we're going to be following up with. And we've got like 3 or 4 different systems of approaching like sports, rec sports that we want to kind of like survey. And we might have some guests come on and talk about what they've created. So if we want to talk to builders, the opportunity of connecting with a professional athlete this week who is building something. And he's like, I love to hear from anybody who's building. And I thought that was really cool. So like, there's no reason why he had to be interested in anything that I've had to build, but you've built something, a Positive Play project. I've built something over at Hey Coach. And there are people like, Legends Baseball. We heard from our friend Paul, who's built a league out in New York. There's a national organization trying to further intramural sports at high schools and helping with all those logistics and the heavy lifting there. So there are things out there that have been built or are being built that could be brought to where you are. And we want to, again, help get that out there and share that.
Yeah.
So, and if you're building something, tell us what you're building so that way we can talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we'll be honest, we'll challenge it directly because we care deeply.
Now I know you're a millennial because that's how you make your hearts. The cool kids, they do it like, I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm also a millennial. It's like this.
Anyways.
The young kids.
Yeah. Morgan and I are the same age.
I'm actually older.
We both graduated the same year. We are both millennials and we're both in our 40s. And our kids drive us crazy and wish they could go back to school. So
soon enough.
That's it from me and the Sports We Build podcast. Morgan, it's always good talking to you.
You too.
All right. We'll see you all next time.